Hey, folks, glad you're here today. What we're talking about today is, sorry about that. Just got a notice from Ahmad there. He's smiling at me. He looks nice today, Ahmad. You look very nice today. Thanks for dressing up so nice. What we're going to talk about today is brain function, and we talk about that a lot, but we want to talk about depression because depression is a big issue. Holidays come around, people get depressed, they get the winter blues. There's something called seasonal affective disorder, SAD, SAD. And many times people go through it, and I see it a lot in my offices. And that's why when I pick a show topic, I always try to decide what I'm going to talk about whenever I get on the air. And I kind of look at my patients for the week. And we've had a lot of patients coming in this week with a lot of depression. And we have had some people come in where it's totally debilitating. You know, one gal came in and she was just horrible. And her husband just looked at me, tears in his eyes, says, "Please give me back my wife. We don't know what else to do. We've given her medications, and it's not working, and she's just desperate." So I sat down with her, and as I talked to her, and I did an evaluation like we do on all our patients, and I found out several things that were classic in depression patients. Again, I've been doing this for 33 years now. I've seen a lot of depressed patients. And number one, we looked at her diet, of course. Her diet is just horrible. And she's eating a lot of foods that give her a little bit of lift, a little bit of boost, and then she crashes again, so she eats a little bit more of it. She's got a lot of digestive problems, and that's always the key. Gas, bloating, diarrhea, acid reflux, constipation. This is the thing that I always find is people have digestive issues because digestive system is directly controlling the brain. There's a connection between your gut and your brain. So depression isn't just in your head, it's actually in your gut. Now, let me explain this to you, because if you suffer from depression, you know somebody who suffers from depression, you're going to listen to this and go, "Dr. Joe, that makes perfect sense. I understand now what you're talking about." So whether you're suffering from depression or you're just in a crabby mood, before you start poking around in your head for the answers, I want you to aim a little lower. I want you to start to look at your gut. And whenever I do a show like this, I always get calls from people in the mental health industry, and they call me up and they say, "I never thought about it before." But the patients we have, the worse they are, the worse their digestion. They have terrible gas. They have to run to the bathroom, even in counseling sessions. They might have diarrhea, constipation, bloating, terrible breath. Because the brain is controlled by the gut, and the gut controls the brain. So you heard what? You have gut instincts, right? You've heard that. Butterflies in your stomach, nervous. Somebody makes you sick to your stomach. Those are all real things because you're feeling it and experiencing it in your gut. So the connection between your brain and your gut is called the gut-brain axis. It's a two-way street. And the gut and the brain and the gut work both ways. So if one thing isn't working, it's going to affect the other one. So we're just beginning to understand, medicine is, that the incredible relationship exists between the gut and the brain. Now, science is just kind of catching up with us alternative folks. I love the term alternative healthcare. Because for years, we natural practitioners always knew this, and it's been from Chinese medicine from thousands of years ago. Finally, Western medicine is starting to catch up. So people like chiropractors, myself, holistically oriented doctors, we understood that if the bacteria or the balance in the gut was off, it's going to have an effect on how the brain works. Now, we knew we had to rebalance the gut in order for the brain to work. Modern science, very pill-oriented, as you know, but the good news is that's starting to change. I'm seeing more and more doctors, and in fact, 20 years ago, I didn't have any contact with the medical world. And now, probably twice a week, somebody in the medical world is contacting my office and wanting to meet with me, take me out to lunch, take me out to dinner, send me patients, talk about situations they're having with their patients, because they're realizing that maybe this alternative world really is right. It's the right way to go. I mean, Chinese medicine has been around for centuries. And so they understood the importance of the nervous system, of the digestive system, of good diet, of balancing your food, of not eating too much food, staying away from sugars. In fact, the other day, I went out to dinner to an Asian restaurant, really good, a bunch of friends of mine and I. And then we went to an Asian bakery afterwards. They wanted to go for a dessert. And the desserts there are very different. If you've never been to an Asian bakery, it's really kind of interesting. A lot less sugar, a lot less, no coatings and sugar sweets and frostings. Basic things, more like a yeast dough, maybe with some a sweetened soybean paste in the middle. And you think, oh, that's not a lot of fun. It's really good, surprisingly good, but it's not overwhelmingly sweet. So what the rest of the world has known for years, Germany is way ahead of us in homeopathics, we're finally catching up here in the United States. And so some evidence that experts are pointing to when it comes to complicated relationships between the brain and the body. So let's talk about a few things that happen with the brain and how it's affected by your gut. And by the way, if you have a healthcare question, I'm going to open up the lines. The number is 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. You can call that number, get through the studio here. That number, by the way, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. So in case you have questions and you're a little too shy to get on the air. Also, if you have a question, you can send it to me through my website, drjoeesposito.com, and I may answer your question that way. I'm starting to do that more now with the show. I'm taking questions on my Facebook as well and online. So follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. We'll cover a few things there in case you don't want to get on the air. Some people are a little shy. I understand that. So if you're in a bad mood, it's a bit humbling, but the information is, in fact, that 90% of your neurotransmitters are chemicals like dopamine, serotonin. They actually serve to regulate your mood. You know where they're made? They're made in your gut. It's the bacteria themselves that make and manufacture these neurotransmitters. And if your gut is populated with the wrong type of bacteria, you won't be able to make the same feel-good chemicals like serotonin and dopamine, and that can have a major impact on your mood. Very seldom do I come across a patient, in fact, I can't think of ever coming across a patient, where someone who's healthy, who has a good digestive system, eats a good diet, lots of probiotics, takes supplements, things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are two supplements. If you don't know what they are, they're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Very seldom do I come across a patient who is taking supplements, eating a good diet, who has depression, who has mood swings. 100% of the time in 33 years, I can't think of it not happening. I've come across patients that are not eating good, that have acid reflux and heartburn and burping. These are the ones that have the problems with the mood swings. And many times, once we get their nervous system working as chiropractors, and we get their digestive system working, and we get their the balance of the bacteria right in their colon, people come in and say, "You've given me my family back. Thank you so much." Now, folks, if you're listening around the country, I have to make this announcement. For those of you listening on our flagship station, WSB in Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport still in a complete shutdown, power outage. What a mess down there. We have lots more information coming up with our team coverage, so that's going to come up in just a second. So, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. The number here, 844-44-Dr. Joe. We're going to be right back. For Dr. Joe, So glad that you're here today. Hope everybody's having a good day. Some folks may not be having a good day, but that's what we're talking about today. What happens when you have a bad day? What does it look like, and what causes it? Now, sometimes there's issues. I don't know, like a power outage at an airport might cause some problems. Maybe stuck in traffic. Those are things that can certainly put you in a bad mood. But for people that have chronic issues and chronic depression, we're decoding what depression is, the new research that's out, and what you need to do to get it fixed. Because a lot of times you can have control over this. You're steering, and you don't even know you're in charge. You can steer yourself out of this mess and back into a normal life. And so many times folks come to us, and after we work with them, they'll say, "Well, Dr. Joe, that was just amazing. It was so easy. I hear this a lot, why didn't somebody tell me this sooner?" And the answer I have for that is, I don't know. I don't know that answer. But we're talking today about the gut-brain axis. They talk to each other back and forth. And for years, we never put it all together. We always thought that if you had an emotional issue, it was all in your head, and let's treat your head. But when we started realizing that it's not your head where the problem is, in many cases, not all, many times it's in your gut. And so if you have depression, whether it's seasonal issues, maybe it's winter, maybe it's holidays, you're alone, maybe it's you had a breakup with someone, and you start thinking about your health, 100% of the cases I've seen in my career have something wrong with their digestive system. They have acid reflux or heartburn or burping or gas. So if you're in a bad mood, we have to get the bacteria in your colon working right, because the neurotransmitters that produce the chemicals that go up to your brain are made in the gut by the bacteria. So if you're eating bad foods that kill bacteria, or you have bad bacteria in your gut, you've got a problem. So what can kill bacteria? Let's think about this for a second. Well, antibiotics kill bacteria, right? Yeah, to have a bacterial infection, take antibiotics. How many of you have taken long-term antibiotics? Raise your hands. A lot of you, right? Yeah, I know. How about every day taking antibiotics? Anybody do that? All right, whoever didn't raise their hands, raise your hands now. Because if you're eating standard foods, things like standardized, just conventional meats and dairy products, Many of those products, in fact, most, are injected with antibiotics. And now you're eating the meats and the dairy products, and you're giving yourself low doses of antibiotics every day, which can alter it's called the flora, the bacteria in your colon, which make the neurotransmitters, which then go on to your brain. How about fluoride in your water? How about chlorine in your water? What do you think those two things are for? Chlorine especially kills bacteria, right? We put it in your pool, you put it in your hot tub, put it in your water that you're drinking. It's killing off the bacteria. That's why I recommend at least a under sink water filter for your house so that you have one source of water that you can drink that's filtered. And I have, if you don't know what to get, I have some on my website, drjoeesposito.com. We have the filters right there. You can get them. Pretty easy to install. If you're handy, it's great. If you're not, you could probably find somebody pretty easily. It's not a major plumbing thing to install them. But you want to filter out these chemicals that are going into your body because they're just low doses that can be adversely affecting the bacteria. And how do you eat good bacteria? Probiotics. You ever hear the word probiotic? Pro is what? Pro means in favor of. Biotic means life. It's in favor of life. Antibiotics, by definition, against life. I am not against you taking antibiotics if you need them. Please understand that. I'm against you getting them in your body every day when you don't need them or taking them when you don't need them. That's where we start to have the problem, and that's when it starts affecting your moods. And then we can give you more medication, and sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't, because it doesn't get to the cause of the problem in most cases. It treats the symptoms. So I want you to think about this, and the number one thing, we're going to cover this quite a bit if we have time, is sugar. I got to cover it real quick now. Sugar is the key that you got to get that out of your diet, because the sugar is feeding the bad bacteria, feeding the yeast in your colon, and starting to push out the good bacteria. So you're going to a party or you feel depressed, and what do you want to do? I want to eat ice cream, I want to eat cookies, I want to eat cakes, I want to eat puddings. You got to cut that sugar out, folks. And it sounds like a broken record. If you've listened to my shows before, it sounds like I say the same thing over and over again when it comes to sugar. You got to do it. It's hard because sugar makes you feel good short term, but makes you feel bad long term. I'm going to start taking callers. We've got a lot of callers. The number's 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. And, oh, there we go. Let's see if we're not working here. Oh, all right. Going to have to hold on till the break then. So, Paul, you're holding on. You're going to have to hold on to the break. I'm going to have to switch the mode that I'm in here on my computer. So let's keep talking about the mood and your brain and your guts. So depression is the biggie because I titled this show Decoding Depression. The gut bacteria play such a role in creating these neurotransmitters that an imbalanced gut is linked to depression. And if you have an imbalance in your gut, that can cause inflammation, which we're going to cover in just a little bit. And that can actually, many doctors are now believing that is the cause of depression. It's an inflammatory reaction. Now, different doctors have different opinions. I'm just telling you what some of the research is out there on. The reason people take antidepressants is to elevate their levels of serotonin in their brain. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter in your brain. The target is the gut, not the brain. Because the gut is where these chemicals come from in the first place. Also, your stomach's job, and I'll cover this a lot, you've heard me before, your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. The amino acid tryptophan combines with vitamin B6 and creates a chemical called 5-HTP. Some people take the supplement 5-HTP when it comes for depression. 5-HTP comes from the digestive system breaking proteins into amino acids. 5-HTP becomes serotonin in your brain. So if you're not digesting your proteins properly, you're not getting the serotonin. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. And 90 to 95% of the serotonin in your body is not used in your brain. It's used in your gut, in the nerves, in your digestive system. So again, as a chiropractor, I'm always worried about the nervous system. I want to make sure the nervous system is working the best it possibly can. And so we check the nervous system by seeing if you have pinched nerves. We check the nervous system to make sure you're getting the proper nutrition, make sure you're getting enough stimulation to the nervous system, make sure you're getting oxygen, you're breathing properly. This is what the nervous system needs. This is the fertilizer to make the nervous system work. And if you're not giving it everything it needs, it's not going to work properly. And if the bacteria in your gut are not breaking down the proteins into the amino acids, or the digestive enzymes are not breaking down the proteins into amino acids, then the bacteria in your gut have to produce vitamin B6, because many times when people are depressed, it's a B vitamin deficiency. And most people don't get a lot of B vitamins. And I'm a vegan. I don't eat animal products. Haven't eaten animal products in 31 years. One of the issues I have as a vegan is not getting enough B12, because B12 comes when bacteria eat rotten flesh. And that's what rotten meat is the flesh. So we've got to start looking at that. So, folks, just so you know, if you're listening on our flagship station, WSB in Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport still in a complete shutdown due to power outages. More information coming up on our team coverages, but stay away from the airport at this point. Folks, if you have a question, the number here is 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Supplements I recommend, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Everybody should be taking them. I find patients with depression do very well with them. Those are on my website, again, drjoeesposito.com. If you have a question, lines are open, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Hey, folks, thanks for listening. Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Dr. Joe Show. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe, and we're talking today about depression. Sometimes it's seasonal depression. Maybe it's cold weather. You don't get out as much. Sometimes it's maybe a relationship issue. Maybe it's a family issue, depression through holidays. But the one thing I find, and you wonder, like, why do some people have it and some people don't? I know, like, even for Christmas, you talk to some folks, and they're like, oh, gosh, I'm so happy I get the day off. I just get to sit alone and do nothing. One of my friends is going mountain biking. When he has holidays like that, he says, I don't like the craziness of going anywhere. I like just being by myself. Other people get very depressed when they're by themselves. And the link that we're finding several links in the research now. And these are things that I've been talking about for 35 years. So I'm always fascinated when I read the journals, the psychiatric journals, the medical journals, and they start talking about the things that we've been talking about now for 35 years. And even before that, my predecessors knew this as well. And suddenly it's big news. And the things that we find is that the gut is the key link to making the brain work properly. And what happens is the gut has bacteria in it, and the bacteria produce neurotransmitters that go up to the brain, and then the brain tells the gut how to work, and they talk back and forth. It's called the gut-brain axis. And if there's any interruption, either physically or chemically, we have an issue. The big nerve that connects the brain to the gut is called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. And the vagus nerve is the main line of communication talking back and forth. And we're finding now, and this is fascinating stuff, that the bacteria can actually send messages along the nerve, almost like a telephone wire, up to the brain. So it's really cool. So if you have bad bacteria in your colon, you may not be producing the right kind of messages. Or it's kind of like static on the line, if you will. So if you're eating bad foods, if you're eating what I call the standard American diet, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, tons of sugar, chances are you're getting static along the lines. And that can mess up the function of the brain, and it can also mess up the production of the neurotransmitters. So the hardest time of the year most people have is around the Christmas holiday, New Year's. And that's a time when people are traditionally known to be depressed and have anxiety. But what else do we do at that time of the year? We eat a lot of sugar, right? If you work somewhere, what happens around the Christmas holidays? Oh, you're going to have cookies and cakes and fruit cakes, and there's going to be parties, an open bar. I went to a bunch of parties, holiday parties, and it's amazing to me. People are pounding the booze. You're not getting enough sunlight, which means you're not getting enough vitamin D. Vitamin D has a major effect on your moods. You're eating the bad foods, you're feeding the bad bacteria. Many times we eat too much. Because if you go to a party and the food's free, what are you going to do? I'm going to eat as much as I can. It's free. And you eat too much, and that's a problem as well. In the Christian Bible and in the Torah, they talk about Adam and Eve. And original sin was Eve ate from the apple, the tree of life, and she ate the apple, and she was tempted, and God said, you broke the rules, you're out. Well, the problem, if you look at Sanskrit, which is Indian religion or Indian philosophy from India, in Sanskrit they have a similar story, but it wasn't that she broke the rules. It's that the rule was you can eat as much as you want of anything that you want, but you can't take more than you need. So in Sanskrit and from India, original sin is gluttony, eating too much or taking too much. And what do we do in our society almost every day? We're gluttons. And we're putting the bad food in the body, and we're putting too much in the body. So the secret here is don't eat too much. Don't eat till you're full. Eat till you're comfortable. Wait 20 minutes, and then you should feel full. when you start eating too much of the wrong things, it's going to mess with the brain, and many times that leads to depression. All right, let's see. We had a little problem with the phones here. Let's see if I can get it working. Paul, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, all right,
Merry
we got it, Paul.
Christmas.
And to you, sir.
Thank you for all the advice. Every day, I build my nutrition program around advice I've gotten from you over the last 10 to 15 years. Thank you.
Oh, that's great, Paul. Thank you so much. How can we make your day better today?
That includes super greens and essential source.
Oh, isn't that stuff wonderful? Just say something nice about that. And
it
tell
is.
everybody they should be taking it.
I wouldn't be without it.
Oh, that's
My
great.
wife, who is 78, last week was diagnosed with multiple blood clots in the femoral vein between her hip and her knee.
Right.
They got her on Levelox and Coumadin.
Right.
And my question is, what's the best nutritional support for that while she's in that treatment?
Okay, the same rules I always talk about is staying away from the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Those are the keys, and that's the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. One of the things that I find helps, and again, I'm not telling her to come off her drugs. Please understand that. She needs to follow her medical doctor's advice, is eating more raw food. Broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, salad, because raw food has in it something called enzymes. And the enzymes, if they get into the blood, if you eat, let's say you take an enzyme supplement, and for her I may even recommend an enzyme supplement. If you take them with food, they help digest the food. If you take them on an empty stomach, they get into the blood system and they can dissolve, build up in the blood. So raw food's going to be the key. Now, make sure she stays monitored by her medical people because we don't want any these blood clots breaking off, of course, right? And the raw food, good. So the enzymes are going to be the key in someone like that. But eating a lot more fruits and vegetables, going to essentially a plant-based diet is going to be the thing that I would recommend most important for her.
One specific question.
Sure.
While you're on Coumadin, I understand it's best not to eat green leafy vegetable because of vitamin K.
Right. Now here's a trick. Okay, this is my advice because people talk about that when they order Super Greens and Essential Source, and it's Dr. Joe, I love it, I feel great, but I'm on a blood thinner. What you need to do is whatever you decide to do, like if you're taking Super Greens and Essential Source, you need to take it on a regular basis. Don't take it for a while, stop taking it, and then have your doctor monitor your blood. They then can adjust the medicine based on your new diet. And many times what I find happens is initially they may have to adjust the medication, but then as time goes on, people come off the medication. So you got to make sure you're working with your medical doctors on this as a team.
Yes.
Okay. And also with her, Paul, I want to make sure you check her nerves in her low back. Because if she had pinched nerves in her low back, those are the nerves that go to the back, hips, legs, knees, and ankles. But those nerves and blood vessels also control the colon, sex organs, and bladder. So I find when people have blood clots, many times I have colon, sex organ, and bladder issues as well due to the pinched nerves and blood vessels in their low back. So that's where, like, my team of doctors, my chiropractors would come in and check the spine to make sure there's no pinched nerves.
Now, for prevention of that happening to me or anybody else, I guess the basic advice you gave earlier in this conversation applies.
Absolutely. Go to a plant-based diet. I mean, I wish I had an easier way to do it, but there really isn't. The plant-based diet is the quickest, easiest way to prevent these things.
Great.
Okay, Paul?
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the call. All right. There we go. I think we got it. Good. All right. A couple of problems with the phones here today. Let's see. Nope. Okay. Good. All right. So we're talking today about mood swings. And if you have a question, well, not mood swings, just mood in general and mood swings, and depression, and we're decoding depression. So if you have a question, give us a call. The lines are open, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website is drjoeesposito.com if you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you have questions, send them to me through the website. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. And if you're listening on our flagship station, WSB in Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport still shut down due to a power outage. More information coming up with our team coverage. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. No, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Thanks for listening. This is the Dr. Joe Show. I am Dr. Joe, and we're talking today with decoding depression. Because so many patients come to my offices, and one of the symptoms they have, of course, we're chiropractors. They'll have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, car accidents. Folks, side note, if you've ever been in a car accident, if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. Make sure you get quality care, because sometimes you may get calls from people, oh, I heard you're in an accident. Well, that's, first of all, illegal, and second of all, many times you're not going to get the best care possible. So we and my team of doctors, there's a lot of good doctors in the country, of course, that want to give you the best care possible. So make sure you get things fixed. Don't drag it out, because chances are you're going to regret that. But anyway, people come to us with neck pain and back pain and shoulder pain. And then once we get to know them, sometimes they tell us right up front, sometimes they don't, is they have depression. And they don't know what to do. And they tried the medications. Sometimes medications work. Sometimes it works a little bit. And sometimes folks just don't want to take meds. Now, I'm not against taking meds. If you need them, take them. But we want to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. So if your gut is not working properly, if you have gas and bloating and acid reflux and heartburn and constipation or diarrhea, chances are you don't have good bacteria in your colon. And the bacteria are the things that either start the process of making neurotransmitters or make the neurotransmitters. So if you have a bad gut, research with anxiety, it's kind of similar to depression, from psychiatric research found that those who ate more probiotic-rich fermented foods are less likely to experience social anxiety. So when I have people that are shy, yes, even shyness could be due to an imbalance in the gut. And we do that by eating bad foods, by eating too much sugar, by taking medications. Sometimes you need antibiotics. I'm not saying don't take them, but if you do take them, you want to rebuild the bacteria. That's why with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, one of the many, many, many reasons I recommend people take this is we add probiotics, which are good bacteria, and we add prebiotics. Prebiotics feed the bacteria in your colon. It's not something you use as a human, but it's food for the bacteria that are already there. So they eat it, digest it, multiply, make more bacteria babies, and help set up a good, what's called a flora, good bacteria in your body, which helps fight disease. And now we're finding can also help fight depression and give you normal brain function. So that's one of the many, many, many reasons I recommend people take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com, also available on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can order them. Give it a try, folks. It's relatively inexpensive. It's right around $2 a day for a scoop of Dr. Joe's Super Greens and the Essential Source. Both of them are about $2, total. It's $2 a day, somewhere around there. Most people are thrilled. And a lot of people say they eat a lot less food because they have the nutrients that they need. It helps with their cravings, and they save money. So in the long run, people say, I can't afford not to take this stuff, Dr. Joe, because I'm making money on a deal. I can go on and on. I can do a 2-hour show easily on just the benefits of Super Greens and Essential Source. But that's on the website, drjoeesposito.com. And being we're talking about depression, a lot of people report that when they take it, it helps their moods tremendously. Now, if you ever get that foggy feeling, brain fog, you might get it after eating too much junk food. In fact, I did this once many years ago. I went out to Los Angeles. A good friend of mine lives out there. And if you've ever been to Los Angeles and you're a vegan or a vegetarian, it's like heaven out there. So many different restaurants. And he wanted to take me to every one of the vegan restaurants in all of Los Angeles in like 3 days. So we just ate way too much food. And we did a lot of soy, which I normally don't do, but there was, fake meats and stuff. And we went into a soy coma. It was just like, I can't even move. I got brain fog. I feel awful. So if I have to hear one word come from my patients when it comes to getting the gut and the diet working properly, it's the word clarity. Dr. Joe, my brain is clearer. I'm thinking clearer. I'm able to communicate with my spouse, my family, my friends, my job. Dr. Joe, I'm doing so much better at work. I have one of my friends. They call her Speedy because at work she just runs around, and she's in her late 50s. And people say, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source." And she says, "I can't live without this stuff. If I don't have it for a day, she sees a difference." But clarity comes up when the digestive system starts to work. So if you have acid reflux or heartburn, many times the stomach is pushed up into the diaphragm, and we need to manually massage or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm to get the whole digestive system to relax. And when the muscles in the digestive system relax, you start digesting your food more efficiently, you absorb your nutrients more efficiently, and we take the stress off what's called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. The vagus nerve also has a branch or a little conduit that also helps control the heart. So many times I find folks with high blood pressure, it's a digestive problem. It's a mechanical problem. It's mechanically irritating the vagus nerve, which is causing the heart to beat harder, which is raising the blood pressure. Because people come in all the time, Dr. Joe, I'm working out, I'm eating right, I'm taking the Super Greens, I'm taking the Essential Source, I've gone vegan, and I'm thin, and I still have high blood pressure. What is it? Then I start looking for a neurological reason behind it. Is there a pinched nerve coming from the spine? Is it irritation of the vagus nerve? And when we find, or they're in pain. Pain alone can raise the blood pressure. So a lot of times when they come into our offices and we administer chiropractic care and reduce the pain levels, their blood pressure normalizes. Now, I'm not saying that's the cause all the time, but that may be a cause that you've never thought of before. And when you're in pain, it causes inflammation, which can affect the brain as well. Let's go back to the callers. I've been negligent here on my callers. Folks, if you have a question, the number here at the studio is 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. Selena, how can we make your day better?
Yeah. So I was calling because my daughter is 7 years post-chemotherapy.
Uh-huh.
And in the last 2 years, she's been suffering with her skin looking like it's being freshly burned every day.
Yep.
Like with boiling water.
Yep.
And it moved. It started on her arms, moved to her face. Now it's in her armpits.
Yep.
We've taken her to every doctor. We're chemical-free home. We eat organic. We're working on her gut health. Everything they've tried, the only thing that ever works is steroids, but it only works while she's on them.
Yep.
And we're just,
you're at your wit's end.
It's been 2 years of trying to figure out what in the world's going on, and we're just, I was wondering if maybe you could help.
I probably can. Just had a patient come in the other day. What's he? Just a few months old, and eczema all over his body. And his body, he's not going to the bathroom properly. His bowels aren't moving properly. He spits up constantly. And the mother brought him into us, and we fixed his stomach, adjusted his spine, opened up the nerve supply. And she came in 2 days later, and she was almost in tears. And I said, what happened? She goes, he pooped 4 times that day. She said, and I picked him up from daycare, and he was in the same clothes that he had when he got there. And he always spit up all the time. And the skin started to slightly normalize. So with your daughter,
how she was when she was a newborn, and now that she's 19, we've got all that stuff regulated.
Okay.
It's like it's all starting over.
Okay. Well, what we want to do is check her guts. What you can do externally is hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Glad you could be here. Hope everybody's having a good day. What we're talking about today, we're decoding depression. We're talking about depression and what causes it and what we need to do to deal with it. Because so many times people have these issues. They'll have seasonal issues. They'll have holiday issues. They'll have problems with relationships. And a lot of times that happens when people are not getting enough vitamin D, for example. Vitamin D is one of the supplements that helps us build the immune system, but also helps with depression. And so oftentimes we get sick and we don't feel good, and that could lead to depression. I just had a patient call her off the air, and she was talking about her daughter who has a lot of health issues. And we talked about how we have to get the immune system back up. And the immune system, most of the immune system, 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your gut. And so we're finding now that so many different diseases, we trace it back. Finally, medicine is catching up to this. And they're tracing it back to the gut. What have I been talking about for the past 35 years? The gut is the key to everything. Hell, you live and die by your digestive system. Because think of the junk you put in your body. You put breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweeteners. And for some reason, you think that once it passes your mouth, it's hidden somewhere. And everything will be taken care of. Well, that's not true. And the bacteria in your gut produce the neurotransmitters that make your brain work. So if you're not putting the right bacteria, you don't have the right bacteria, you're not nourishing the right bacteria, it can lead to a lot of problems. And what we hear from my patients is when we get people well is that their brain is working better. They feel better. Research from Oregon State University supports this. They found that mice fed a high-fat, high-sugar diet saw a shift in gut bacteria that was linked to a loss of cognitive flexibility. That's your ability to adapt to changes. And short-term and long-term memory issues. So if you eat a diet that's high in fat and high in sugar, what is that? What would be high in fat and high in sugar? Oh, I don't know. Every junk food known to man, I think. Right? Cookies, cakes, donuts, French fries, potato chips. We all love those things. I love those things. I love to eat them because it gives me a short-term rush. And I feel high when I eat it, and I feel good. But long-term is when it causes real serious problem. The brain has got to receive plenty of energy to function. In the presence of inflammatory chemicals, the brain is less likely to get the energy that it needs to work. So what happens in a situation is you start developing static on your nervous system. Again, as a chiropractor, I'm always looking at the nervous system, making sure the messages are getting back and forth. So your bandwidth goes down, put it in your terms. So it's taking longer and longer to load some of your websites in your brain. We used to call it Rolodex. Now we call it websites, right? And we understand the gut bacteria, the mediators of inflammation throughout the body, including the brain. Also, I find when people have depression, they have an adrenal issue. in most cases. The adrenal glands produce energy. They produce anti-inflammatories and pro-inflammatories, and they produce your sex hormones. They produce pregnenolone, which becomes DHEA, and DHEA, if you're under stress, becomes cortisol. Cortisol causes inflammation. It causes you to gain weight. If you're not under stress, it produces your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. And so the adrenal glands become a key player here. But if you're eating sugars and alcohols and meats and drinking coffee and drinking alcohol because you're depressed and you want comfort food, you're most likely going to burn out your adrenal glands, and that's going to cause some real serious problems. One of the signs that I look for in my patients, aside from doing an analysis with them, is I look for bags under the eyes. When I see people with bags under the eyes, I almost always know that it's an adrenal issue. Let's go back to the callers. Paul, how can we make your day better?
Hey, I was Dr. Joe. Good to hear you. I'm wondering about the depression. I work for a group over near Mercer, the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Yes.
And we would like to hear more about these treatments that you were talking about. Are they in hospitals or clinics?
Some of the more progressive hospitals are finally catching on and catching up, I guess I should say, into this world. But when you deal with someone who's depressed, you can you can make this questionnaire real simple. Do you have any digestive problems, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating? Chances are they're going to say yes if they're honest. Second thing we're looking for with depression patients and ADD patients as well, are they ticklish? If you poke them in the sides, or especially around the ribs, are they really ticklish? Every case I've ever seen, they're very ticklish. The reason is they're protecting their digestive system. So you start coming near the digestive system, they pull away. Because pain and ticklishness travel along the same nerve. It's called the lateral spinothalamic tract. And so the body perceives ticklishness as an attack, as pain, and it protects itself. So there are some progressive medical doctors around that work this way. I work with a few of them, and I'm very impressed with the work they do. I know Center Spring Medical Center is one of them I work with. And we work together with these patients to try to get them well. But I think you're going to see in the next 10 or 15 years that hospitals and wellness centers like where you're working, mental wellness centers, are going to start taking on this approach because it works very well. And it's free.
What about magazines? Are there some sources you can give that are in magazines?
I can't think of any offhand. We're going to take this show and archive it on my website. So if you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, we should have it up probably tomorrow. And you could listen to this show if you need to. And then if you need more information, you can give me a call. Maybe I can work with you.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. See, folks, it's kind of, I said that whenever I do a show, people in the mental health industry start calling in and saying, we've never heard this before. Can you give us more information? And the answer is yes, we can give you more information. So we're going to have to go to a break pretty soon. But, folks, if you're on hold, please keep hanging on, and we're going to get there. Cravings. How many people have cravings when you have depression? There's a small part of your head that says, no, don't eat that French fry. Don't eat those potato chips. And then a much louder voice comes on and says, no, eat it, eat it, eat it. Anybody like that aside from me? Am I the only one? No, I'm not. Of course I'm not. Turns out that the foods you put in your stomach affect your brain and the rest of the meal. Because so many times, I was thinking about this. I was watching a TV the other day, and everywhere you go, you see the same fast food restaurants. Well, the reason is a lot of them serve food that stimulates the pleasure centers in the brain, and people want more. Hey, I'm a capitalist. I think it's great that everybody's making a living. But for you, my listeners, I want you to make better decisions. Folks, I'm going to have to go to a break. My website, if you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, if you want to send us a question, it's drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. You can order the supplements there. Also on Amazon, we have the supplements. I recommend everybody take those. If you have questions, send them to me through the website. I archive my radio shows on the website as well, which is drjoeesposito.com. And if you're listening in the Atlanta area, our flagship station, WSB in Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport still shut down due to a power outage. More information coming up with our team coverage. They're saying it should be open by midnight, but I don't know if that's a promise or not. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. Glad you could be here today. What we're doing today is decoding depression. We're taking depression, telling you what it is. We got a real good question coming up on that. Greg wants to know the difference between depression and anxiety. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the things that you need to do to try to get yourself better. And it was interesting. I was out to dinner a while ago. And one of the people there is a 13-year-old girl. And there was some very heavy-set people there. And I used to be extremely overweight. Well, not extremely overweight. I was overweight as a kid, so I get what it means. And she said to me, she says, Dr. Joe, she says, you're probably the smartest person I've ever met. And I said, thank you. I appreciate that. She says, how do people let themselves get to that point? And many times what happens is you give up hope. It becomes a point where you're thinking about it, and then you just get to the point where you say, well, you know what? What's one more meal? What's one more pound? I don't really care anymore. And I understand that. We've all been there at some point in our lives where you just want to give up. But you need to buckle down, but sometimes we can't because the brain doesn't have the capabilities to get to that level. The brain is made up of chemicals, and as a chiropractor, my concern is making sure the brain is sending messages down the spine, out the nerve to the organs, and back up to the brain again. So in my offices, my team of doctors and I, we work on getting the nervous system working properly. Sometimes it's physical. Many times it's a pinched nerve. So as a chiropractor, we unpinch the nerves. And then we look at the chemical aspects. So when patients come to our office, if they want us to do all the work and just give adjustments and it's going to solve all their problems, sometimes it does. But many times the patient will say, well, doc, I'm still having blank. And I'll say, well, do we ever do a nutritional workup with you? And we're supposed to do it on every patient. No, you gave me the paperwork to fill out, but I just didn't do it. No, I've been meaning to do that. In fact, I ran into somebody at a store the other day, and he stops. He looks at me, and he's looking. He goes, you're Dr. Joe. And I said, yeah. He goes, I attended one of your lectures about a year ago. He says, you're amazing. I said, thank you. He said, I've been meaning to do what you told me. It's a year later. And I said, what's stopping you? He said, well, I don't know. I said, here's my card. Come see us, and let's get this thing going. He says, Dr. Joe, you're right. I need to do that. So many people say, I'm going to do it tomorrow, later. Today's the day. Stop waiting. People say, Dr. Joe, I've been meaning to take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And then they start taking it, and they're blown away. Oh, my gosh, I feel so good, and I have so much energy, and it tastes so good, and it's so inexpensive, and why didn't I do this sooner? Patients come to our offices. Why didn't I come see you guys sooner? My answer is this: I don't know. So stop waiting and start making the move to get better. And we archive every one of my radio shows on my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can listen to all the shows there, hundreds of hours. We videotape my live lectures. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're constantly putting things on YouTube. Lots of good information for you, and there's no charge for that. That's my gift to you. All right, let's go back to the calls. We got lots of callers here. Greg, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. How are you, sir?
I'm very happy.
Hey, listen, I love your show, and I wish that WSB and the syndicated shows would allow more time with these people like you and topics like this, because I think a lot of people really resonate with what you're talking about, and I think it helps a lot more people than you and maybe others realize. Great stuff.
That means a lot to me. Thank you. Hopefully my bosses are listening and they heard you. So,
well, hopefully so. The question I was telling your screener was that I've got severe anxiety issues. I always have since I was a kid, and
sure.
But I've never been a depressed person. I'm not depressed, but it just seems to me that a lot of the doctors or people in your profession, they'll treat anxiety the same way they will depression, and
Yes.
I have a problem with that because I'm not depressed, but I do have anxiety issues. Why are they? I know it has to do with the nervous system, but why do they treat them the same? They treat both a lot with the same medication.
I agree. Well, the two are close, and many times people that have anxiety have depression. But there's a difference. When you're anxious, it's characterized by a lot of fear and apprehension. When you're depressed, on the other hand, it doesn't necessarily have fear. It usually centers around the idea that life is terrible and it's hopeless and there's really no need for me to go on. And so that's the difference. So if you're anxious, many times what I find is there could be a physical component. So, for example, if somebody is having a heart attack, well, that creates anxiety. If somebody's not digesting their food properly, they have anxiety. Somebody's in pain. As a chiropractor, of course, we see pain patients all day, every day. That creates anxiety. The body, it's almost the body saying, hey, pay attention, something's wrong. Look around, try to figure out what's wrong. That's anxiety. Depression, you just kind of go, I give up. Sometimes what doctors will do is they just want to shut down your brain. I don't like that approach. I want to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms.
Well, the problem I have is a lot of depression medications is right. They take you from the peaks and valleys and just kind of make you monotone or numb. And I don't want to take that away, but the anxiety is a serious issue.
Absolutely, yeah. So in cases like you, then I start trying to dig a little deeper. Is there a pain issue? Is there a low-grade infection? Is there a heart issue? Is there a circulatory issue? So I try to analyze why the body is feeling the anxiety. And many times it goes back to the acid reflux and the heartburn and the burping. It's a digestive problem. And
Right, okay.
Because I get the same way. When my stomach pushes up against my diaphragm, I start getting a little manic almost, a little hyper, and my staff will go, "Did you get your stomach checked?" No. Grab one of my doctors, check my stomach. Sure enough, 100% of the time, pull my stomach down, adjust my spine, and I'm back to the calm, normal guy that I usually am.
So are there other ways to treat anxiety other than by, pills, medication, that sort of stuff?
Well, if you get on a plant-based diet, if you get on a lot of raw fruits and vegetables, things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, many times just giving the body this ton of nutrients, the body calms down. It says, okay, I'm safe now. I'm in a good place. I got all the nutrients that I need. So many times that's the solution right there. And then if not, then we dig a little deeper looking for a physical cause.
Do you think people have true anxiety disorders?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, these are real things. It's not all in your head. It's actually, like I said, it's all in your gut. It is real, and then we just have to get to the cause of it. And in most cases, we get good results.
It's good stuff, and I'm digging that way, or I'm trying to figure out or why, and trying to find out more information and be more educated. But it's tough because I'm not depressed, but
Right.
the anxiety is a real life problem issue.
I understand it. Yeah. So there's some things. Get away from the foods that are hard to digest. Eat more plant-based, simple foods. Super Greens, Essential Source. Let's see if that helps. If it doesn't, then come see us, and we'll dig a little deeper for you.
I appreciate it, Dr. Joe. Thank you for your show.
Thanks for your kind words, Greg. I appreciate it. Love calls like that. Makes my day. Where are we? Yep, time-wise. Okay, we're going to have to go to a break pretty soon. So what we're doing, if you're on hold, folks, keep holding. If you have a question, the number here is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, I archive all my radio shows, my videos. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's no charge. And whenever we post something on YouTube, which is these radio shows, by the way, we'll send you a message about it, an email, and you can either listen to it or just delete it. No big deal. I'm not offended by it. Sign up for our newsletter. We send out a lot of good information on a newsletter. That, too, is no charge, by the way. And if you don't like it, just delete it or say, hey, take me off the list. I don't want to do it anymore. We're here to give you the information. What you do with it is totally up to you. I'm not going to force feed you, but once you start realizing that what we're saying is true, you're going to say, like everybody else does, why didn't I do this sooner? So if you're having problems, get off your fanny and get things fixed, because so many people say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer so long? Don't be like those people. Come on, folks. You're smarter than that. You're my listeners. I love my listeners. You're the ones that make this show the number one health and wellness radio broadcast in the country. We're heard coast to coast and around the world. It's because of you. But the website is there 24 hours a day. And by the way, if you have questions, you don't want to come on the air, send it to me through the website. I'm more than happy to answer your questions personally on the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. And by the way, the supplements are also on Amazon. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, tell your friends. I am so happy that you decided to join me at the Dr. Joe Show. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito. And what we're doing today is decoding depression. So many people come into my offices and they have depression. We had a caller a little earlier about anxiety and depression, the difference, and we talked about that. And so many times it goes back to what you're doing to your gut every day. And we think it's the brain, but it's really not the brain. It's coming from the gut, because the gut and the brain talk to each other. There's something called the gut-brain axis, and they talk back and forth. And the nerve, the big nerve that connects that, there's a bunch of other nerves too, is called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is such a key. And in fact, I was hit by a car when I was about 10, 11 years old. I was actually in Germany, hit by a car, flipped over, landed on my head. They thought I was dead. They put a blanket on me, left me on the side of the road until an ambulance came. And I moved. I guess not dead. And I'm sure things like that. I played football. I played hockey. I got street fights. And so there's a lot of brain damage. I know it sounds funny. But no, I'm sure I had internal brain damage occur. And so through chiropractic care, I was getting treated, and we found some weird things happening. Like my vagus nerve was working the opposite of what it was supposed to do. If you put pressure on your carotid arteries or put pressure on your eye, your pulse is supposed to drop. My pulse was going up. And so we had to work to fix all that, get the brain working, get the nervous system working, get my diet straightened out, and now my nervous system is working properly again. But had I not known what I know, and had I not been surrounded by the brilliant people that I work with, I would have never found these problems out. And as I got older, it would have become a much more of a bigger issue. And I see it now with friends of mine. I see on Facebook, of course, people, this guy died, this guy had a heart attack, this guy had his leg cut off from an amputation from an infection. And I'm thinking, and I look at pictures of them, I'm thinking, they look like old people. I don't look like an old person. Of course, I like to think I look the way I did in high school. I've aged, but not like some of them have. And a lot of it has to do with not taking care of yourself, not getting the nervous system working, not getting the digestive system working, and not getting good nutrition. So if you're not willing to do anything else, and I know sometimes it's hard, it's party season, and you want to go out and you want to play, this is the time more than ever that you need to take care of yourself. Because if you can make it through the party season, you're going to be good. It's going to be a lot easier beyond that. So now's the time. What I do, if I go to a party, I always eat beforehand. And if there's food there that I can eat, well, hey, it's a surprise and bummer, I eat a little bit. But if there's not, I'm not starving. And then if I'm not starving, I'm able to make better decisions. Because when you're hungry, you do stupid things, right? We've all done stupid things in the name of pleasure. And eating is one of the things that gives us pleasure. That's why you never go grocery shopping hungry, right? I hope you all know that rule. Never go grocery shopping hungry, because I promise you're going to make stupid decisions. But if we can feed the gut, give it something called probiotics, which are good bacteria, prebiotics, which are something that feed the bacteria. Then we make sure you don't have a spasm. If you have acid reflux or heartburn, we may have to massage or adjust the stomach down away from the diaphragm. I always said if I could never adjust another patient through chiropractic care, I could build a very successful practice, multiple practices, on nothing but digestive systems. Because so many people have acid reflux and heartburn and burping and gas and bloating and big guts. We had somebody, they were on hold. I couldn't get to you. Watermelon stomach. Many times that's the stomach pushing up against the diaphragm, not digesting food. Now, if you have a real big gut and it's hard, that could be a liver problem. And so you want to get to your medical doctor and get that checked out right away, because the liver can cause hardening. And if you have something called ascites, which is a fluid buildup in the gut, that's a very serious problem as well. So it could be something easily fixed, like a stomach up against the diaphragm. It could be something more complicated. But that's why we like to check the patients. And if we can't help you, we have a team of doctors we work with, neurosurgeons, vascular surgeons, medical doctors, female health experts, pediatricians, because we want to get you the best care possible. And that may not be at our office. It may be at another office. And that's why they send their patients to us. Hey, listen, we can't give you what Joe and his staff can do. Why don't you go see him? And that's why I like working with the people that I know are smart and are not in it just for themselves. They're in it for the good of the patient. So we're talking a little bit. If you're on hold, folks, keep holding. If you have a question, the number is 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-Dr. Joe. That number, by the way, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. So if you have a question, I'm not on the air, you can call us there. If you want to make an appointment, if you want questions about the supplements. But all that information is also on the website, drjoeesposito.com, where you can order your super greens, your essential source, your seasonal booster. I didn't talk about that. I really should. When I have a cold coming on, seasonal booster, I had one of my secretaries. She's been with us not too long now. And she said, Dr. Joe, I was feeling a little under the weather, and I did what you said. I got the seasonal booster, and I took it. She goes, and I took 4 shots of it, and this stuff is awful. It's ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, garlic. It's really nasty. She said, I took 4 shots of it throughout the day. She says, today I feel fine. This stuff is amazing. And she has an issue with her immune system. And she said, I'm amazed. Why didn't my other doctors tell me about this to get my immune system working? I said, I don't know. And then we have a product, too, to help keep the immune system strong as well. We have an intestinal cleanser, keep your bowels moving. My books, if you don't have my books, folks, got to get my books. Make great gifts, by the way. And those are all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. So we're talking today, and keep on holding. If you're on hold, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Research published in Bioessays found that microbes are able to manipulate us into eating things that they want to eat. So the bacteria, the microbes in your body, they want the junk food. They thrive on this, the bad bacteria. And these germs are able to manipulate your taste receptors. They make us feel bad. They send out rewards that control food that go into your stomach. So they're telling you what to eat. So what you need to do is wipe them out. And you do that by things like super greens, essential source, a good diet. Sometimes we put every patient on a supplement protocol when they come in, or you can do it over the phone as well, because I know this show's heard around the world. All right, let's go back to the callers. Let me get the right button here. There you go. Geneva, thanks for holding. How can we make your day better?
Hello.
Hi.
I love your show. I just really enjoy it.
I love you that you love my show.
You talk too fast.
No, you listen too slow, Geneva. That's the problem. No, I do talk fast. You're right. And I need to be slapped around on that one. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I had this breaking out on my cheeks and on my chin, and I was treating it like it looked like a sunburn.
Sure.
And till I could get to the dermatologist, which when you call, you can't get an appointment for a week or two. So.
Yep.
And so when I finally got to the dermatologist, they decided it was a yeast infection.
Yep.
And it first started treating it with a 2% cortisone cream and a cream for fungal infections. And you mixed it together and put on your, and when it cleared up, then you just used the fungal infection. But in the meantime, I've started taking 1 tablespoon of organic apple cider vinegar.
Good.
But I was wondering if there was anything else I could do to keep it from coming back.
Yes. Okay, we got about 1 minute here. The yeast infection almost always starts, once again, in your gut. You have good bacteria in your gut, bad bacteria, and yeast. If you start killing off the good bacteria, could be as we're getting older, could be that we did antibiotics. The yeast aren't affected by antibiotics, and so they start to multiply. They dig holes into your gut, and they get into your blood, and then they come out through your skin, sometimes the vagina, the anus, jock itch. And so yeast infections almost always come from the gut. So what we need to do is get you on an anti-yeast protocol, and it's too long to discuss on the radio. But if you want to call my office, 844-44-Dr. Joe, and I'm not on the air, you can talk to Tara, and she'd be more than happy to give you the yeast protocol that you need to be on. How about that?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. The number here, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, if you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, my seasonal booster, the thing that helps the immune system, the colon cleanser, all on drjoeesposito.com. And just Google Dr. Joe. Supplements also available on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, it'll be easier to order. So, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. One more thing. If you're going to the Atlanta airport right now, if you're listening on our flagship station, WSB Radio in Atlanta, don't go to the Atlanta airport. It's shut down. There's a power outage. Might be up by midnight. We're not sure yet. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate you taking time out of your day. What we're doing today is we're decoding depression. And so many times patients come into our office and they get amazing results with their chiropractic that they receive, and they're happy with taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and they still may have some lingering depression issues, and we have to dig a little deeper. And then we always look at the gut, because the gut is the key in many cases of depression. Now, it's not always the cause, but many times people go, I don't know what else to do. I've been to my therapist, and I support therapy 100%. Absolutely. I think it's a great thing. And but you have to sometimes think it may be a physical problem or a chemical problem causing the emotional problem. Did you follow all that? So if I'm in pain, that can create anxiety. That can cause my blood pressure to go up. So I can take blood pressure medication to drop my blood pressure, or I can say, why am I having the blood pressure to begin with? Could be that my vagus nerve, the nerve that controls my digestive system, is being aggravated. It could be that I have a pain issue, and the pain raises the blood pressure. It could be that I'm sleeping bad. Not getting enough sleep can raise the blood pressure. So there's a lot of things we look at. I had a patient come in the other day, and she just wanted to talk about nutrition because she had a chiropractor she was happy with. And we sat and talked for a while, and I don't know, I was into it for a while, and she goes, well, this morning I went to my medical doctor, and I had skyrocketing blood pressure, and they wanted to put me on medication right away. I wonder if it had anything to do with all the chocolate I ate last night. And I said, yeah. She had never had the problem before, and all of a sudden his blood pressure skyrocketed, so she had to make an emergency appointment with me. And I said, let's do this. Let's not eat chocolate for a week, and let's monitor your blood pressure every day. And that should bring the blood pressure down. So you have to start thinking, maybe the reason I have these issues, maybe you're a coffee drinker. Coffee raises your blood pressure. Maybe you're dehydrated. So many times people just don't drink enough water. They're dehydrated, and that can create anxiety because the body's saying, hey, something's wrong here. Fix me. And you then start thinking, well, I have anxiety. No, you're having a reaction to something that's causing the anxiety. And maybe it's a physical issue. And as a chiropractor, that's what we do all day, every day. We look for physical issues in the patient, and then we look for the chemical issues, and many times that resolves the problem. So let's go back to the callers. Aileen, how can we make your day better? Hello, Aileen. Going once. Aileen, going twice. You still there? I hear rumblings.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes,
Oh, there you go. All right, Aileen. Dr. Joe here. How can we help you today?
Good night, and I'm so grateful to be a part of your program tonight and just to get a chance because I have not had a good night's sleep in more than, and I'm going to say 2-3 years.
Wow. Okay. So what's the question?
I can't sleep longer than 4 hours, and I'm thinking that I'm attributing that to anxiety.
Sure.
Because there are just a lot of things going on in our family on and off for a number of years now. People getting sick, people dying, moving, and, you know.
Sure. So what's your question, Aileen?
My question is, could anxiety be the result of, you know, lack of sleep or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, one can cause the other, which can cause the other to go back and forth. So we can't change the fact that maybe someone passed away. We can't change the fact that things around us are happening. But what we can change is our body and how our body perceives those stresses. So getting on a good diet, more than ever, when you're under stress, we're so tempted to eat those comfort foods when in reality, that's the least best time to be eating comfort foods. You should be going with the fruits and the vegetables, the salads, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, other vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids. I do krill oil, not krill oil, sorry, I do algae oil because I'm a vegan. But algae oil or krill oil might be good choices as well to get the omega-3 fatty acids in the brain. That can help deal with anxiety. Making sure you get enough fiber, making sure your bowels are moving 2 to 3 times a day. If the bowels aren't moving 2 to 3 times a day, there's a lot of waste product being built up in your body. That can increase anxiety or contribute to anxiety. So there's a lot of things that you need to do when things are happening around you so that you can take control of your life again, take back your life. So how are we doing? You drinking enough water? The bowels working? You eating well? What's going on in your life?
I'm not going to say I drink enough water, but I try to get in as much as I can during the day. I would say I probably drink about 32 to 48 ounces.
Oh, you're good then. Okay, good. Okay.
And I eat well. I'm not vegan, but I eat a little fish every now and again, not very often. But I do mostly plants and fruit.
Okay, so it sounds
that's why I'm kind of a little bit, lost.
Sure.
Because I'm thinking that I should not be going through that.
Sure, I understand. Okay, well, I would say try the Super Greens and the Essential Source. You can get those on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or you can always go on Amazon and get them there as well. Start taking that every day, making sure that you're getting some exercise. Get out. Even in the cold weather, you got to get out of the house and move. You want to do about 10,000 steps a day.
Oh, I guess I don't do that one.
Yeah, okay, so that helps so much with depression and anxiety. And then make sure you're doing, I would recommend about 5,000 international units of vitamin D3. So make sure you're getting the D3 as well, because all of us become deficient in D3, especially in the winter months. So you got to take that as well. D3, not D2, D3. Exactly. Okay?
Okay.
All right, let's try that and give us a call back. If it doesn't work, we'll go from there. Okay?
All right.
Thanks, Eileen. I
so
appreciate
much.
it. So we have to take 3 things into account when it comes to your health: a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. If you have those 3 things, now you have a plan or a protocol to help get well and stay well. And the brain, as we were talking with Aileen, it needs stimulation. So get out there and walk. Do housework. I mean, if you don't want to go out, I don't run. I hate running. I have an old fracture in my back, and it hurts my back when I run. So housework is great. And squatting and bending and lifting and getting the body in motion is going to be the key, because the brain needs oxygen, stimulation, and nutrition. That's going to give it stimulation and oxygen. Then the nutrition, the Super Greens, the Essential Source, the seasonal booster we have if cold and flu is coming around. That's the plan to get. And, of course, chiropractic care. Chiropractic care is the core of everything. As far as I'm concerned, when I become Grand Poobah of the universe, everyone in the world is going to have to get their spine checked, because the spine is the control center of everything else. Folks, follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. Sign up, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Send out a lot of good information there. Sign up for my newsletter. All that is no charge, because we want to help get you well and keep you well. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for telling your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time.